That was her little bit in terms of hardness. It's okay.
Welcome, family and friends. Today, we honor the memory of Patricia Ann Steffee, beloved wife of Arthur, treasured sister, devoted friend. We come together to remember and pay tribute to this humble, gentle, and beautiful soul whom we were blessed to know. And in this moment, in this most beautiful place that she created with Arthur as a window to the glory of nature that she cherished, let us raise our hearts and minds and words to honor and remember the infinite kindness and great works of this extraordinary being, our beloved Patricia.
Death is nothing at all. I've only slipped away into the next room. I am I, and you are you. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by my old familiar name. Speak to me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference into your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh, as we always laughed, at the little jokes we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household name it was. Let it be spoken without effect, without the ghost of a shadow of it. Life means all that it ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolutely unbroken continuity. What is death? What a negligible accident. Why should I be put out of mind because I'm out of sight? I am waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. The beloved, gentle soul Patricia Ann Steffee passed away peacefully on Friday morning, April 20th, 2018, at St. Vincent Charity Hospital in Cleveland, Ohio, where she and her husband, orthopedic surgeon Dr. Arthur D. Steffee, had served to heal so many people over the years. Patricia was a registered nurse who worked professionally together with her husband, performing spine surgeries in Cleveland and in 35 countries around the world before they chose to make their home in Foxborough, Pennsylvania. Born on June 16, 1948 in Owasso, Michigan, to Harold and Rose Marie Basel Bishop. Patricia was the second of 12 siblings and a second mother to all the children after the untimely early passing of their mother. Throughout her life, Patricia continued her ministry to humanity, selflessly devoted to helping her immediate and extended family, her patients, and to anyone in need. A concerned, loyal friend and wise counselor, Patricia will be greatly missed by all who experienced her patient, humble kindness and compassion. All who knew Patricia treasured that she welcomed everyone she encountered with an open, kind, loving heart and warm smile. A true lady, epitomized by quiet grace and elegance, Patricia was a peacemaker, a deep listener, and encourager of others. She was never heard to say an unkind word about anyone. An inspiring role model for many. She loved all and was loved by all, including her beloved dogs, lambs, cows, goats, and alpacas. Never claiming anything to her own credit or drawing attention to herself, Patricia shared her expertise graciously and modestly. Her exquisite artistic taste and tireless work together with her husband Arthur resurrected the original vision of the Fox family, restoring the Riverstone mansion, gardens, and estate, and developing the buildings and businesses in the village of Foxford, including Allegheny Riverstone Center for the Arts, Lincoln Hall, atop the Foxford Free Library. Acting as historian, she and her husband collected memorabilia and documents of village history of the founding Fox family. Patricia wore her abundance and material largesse with humility and grace. Her thoughtful generosity was a gift to many, from whom her and her husband's boundless magnanimity was unprecedented. Over the years, she and her husband Arthur opened their home at Riverstone to benefit community organizations and Allegheny Riverstone Center for the Arts, for which Patricia was a founder and dedicated and devoted board member. Patricia is survived by spouse Dr. Arthur D. Steffee, stepson David Steffee and wife Laura, and grandchildren Sydney, Abigail, and Dawson. Sister-in-laws Susan Steffee and Erica Steffee, and siblings Margaret Tokich, Dennis and Sally Bishop, Georgine and Stephen Moores, Brenda and Joseph Paczynski, Matthew and Kathy Bishop, Regina and Frank Pomiko, Marie Brzezinski, Eileen Gorey and David Bartniski, Anne Castile, Paula and Joseph Rubini, Aunt Alice Biltz, and many nephews, nieces, great-nephews, and cousins. She is preceded in death by parents Harold and Rose Marie Boswell Bishop, brother Timothy Bishop, and brother-in-laws Robert Tokich and William P. Steffee.
Though I speak with tongues of men and angels, but have no love, I am only a resounding gong, a flashing cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy, and can fathom all mysteries, and all knowledge, and though I have faith that can move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I give all I possess to the poor, and surrender my body to the flames, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. Is not puffed up. Does not behave rudely. Does not seek its own. Is not provoked. Thinks no evil. Does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth. Bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. Now abide, faith, hope, love, these three. But the greatest of these is love.
When I was a second year student in medical school, I was presented with this little book that was written by Sir William Mosley. Sir William Mosley is this era's I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Yeah, he was the most famous physician of our time. And he was the Hippocrates of the modern era. Hippocrates was the father of medicine, and Moser graduated from McGill University. He was chief of medicine at Johns Hopkins and Harvard University. And he gave a lecture, many lectures, he gave one to the graduating class at Yale University entitled A Way of Life. That's this book. This book was given to me, but I didn't have time then to read it. And it survived a very devastating fire in my life. It was the only book that survived that fire. And so after that, I had a chance to sit down and read it. And it truly is a way of life. It became my Bible, my way of life. It became Patricia's way of life. It starts with Sanskrit from Kalidasa. Kalidasa was an Indian poet that lived about in the 500 CE. It starts with the salutation of the dawn. I would like to read it for you. Listen to the exaltation of the dawn. Look to this day. For it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lies all the varieties and realities of human existence. The bliss of growth, the glory of action, the splendor of beauty. For yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. But well, therefore, to this day, such is the salutation of the dawn. We came to know that as living in daylight and darkness. If you live in the past, well, many of us are going right now. If you live in the future, it's often just a world of broken dreams. And so Patricia and I choose to live only for the day. Come what may, we will live that day and be thankful for it. So, was she successful at living like this? I believe she was. And for many years, I have carried around in my pocket, in my wallet, a little thing written by Bessie Anderson Stanley in 1904. Actually, there was a little bit of debate as to who wrote it, but I believe probably that was her. I had it as Thomas Stanley, who lived in the 1600s. Doesn't matter to the words of what matters. And that is, are you successful? Well, first of all, if we're going to decide if she's successful, we have to define success. What is success? And this is the best definition that I have. She has achieved success who has lived well, laughed often, and loved much, who has gained the respect of intelligent men and women, and the love of little children, who has filled her niche and accomplished her task, who has left the world better than she found it. In other words, makes some difference that she lived at home with you. Whether by an improved copy, or a perfect poem, or a rescued soul, who has never lacked appreciation of the earth's beauty, who failed to express it, who has always looked for the best in others, and given the best she had, whose life was an inspiration, whose memory a benediction. I think that describes Patricia right to a T. Was she successful? She certainly was perhaps the most successful woman I've ever known. And it has been my privilege to call her my friend, my lover, and my wife. Thank you.
Okay, Georgine has asked that all sisters, brothers, sister-in-laws, and brother-in-laws please stand so that we can read it in unison.
The same mom and dad. We shared lots of good times. No reason to be bad. Our memories will treasure the love without end. I'm glad you're my sister. I'm glad you're my friend.
If there is anyone who would like to deliver their personal reflections about Patricia, just give me a little nod and I'll come to you with a microphone.
I'm Matt, Patricia's brother. A while ago, she made a booklet of our ancestors that had gone before, and she put this little story in the back of the book. It's called "Miss Me, But Let Me Go." And I come to the end of the road, and the sun has set for me. I want no rights in a gloom-filled room, while I cry for a soul set free. Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that once we shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is a journey that we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all part of the Master's plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick at heart, go to the friends we know and bury your sorrows in doing good deeds. Miss me, but let me go.
And Patty and I, growing up as young ones, we had a neighbor across the street from us, Janet. And Patricia and I and Janet always thought we were going to be famous one day. And we used to practice a song that we love. And our family knows this song as well. I'm not going to sing. My brothers always tell me you're off key or you're flat. That's a family joke too. But I am going to read it. I believe for every drop of rain that falls, a flower grows. I believe that somewhere in the darkest night, a candle glows. I believe for every one who goes astray, someone will come to show the way. I believe. I do believe. I believe above the storm, the smallest prayer can still be heard. I believe that someone in the Greek somewhere hears every word. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe. And Patricia always believed. From the very beginning, to her and it will continue on. And I know when Mom passed away, that Patricia was that stronghold we all shared, every one of us shared our stories together. And we're all very proud to be from the family we are. We come from good blood. Those who've met Patricia already know that. If we can only, as a family, continue on that love that she would wish. I know we can do it, and I know it's not easy, but we can do it. And that's what she always wanted, was for us to be at peace with each other. When Mom was on her deathbed, and we were gathered with her, one of the things I remember most and always remember is she would say that, Dad and I loved every single one of you as much as we could. We gave you everything that we had possible to give you and did our very best. But one thing I want you to remember most is the best gift that we gave you was each other. And how fortunate we are to have each other, to help each other, and to listen to each other. Daddy always wanted us to have good things in life and show us and teach us new things and expand our horizons. She did that. And I hope and pray that we'll all look to her and continue to set that same role model that she is for us. Always caring for each other and anyone who needs, and to try to put our own needs aside. And there wasn't anyone who did that better than that. Today, in waiting for people to arrive, I pictured my sister, Patricia, scurrying around the house in her cleaning clothes. And tidying up the last few things before all her guests arrive, whether it be a family member in need or friends. Her family from Arca, which is her family. She had no children of her own, but each and every one of us, not only her brothers and sisters, but all the friends that she met along the way, were like her children. She cared for everyone. So if there's anything you take away from this day today, I want you to all remember that you are wonderful, you're all good, and thank you for everything you did for my sister. I'm sorry I'm taking a little bit of time. I only have 2 more things prepared. And my sisters would be saying, Patty would be saying right now, shut up and sit down. Okay, I'll go quickly through these 2. This is a reflection of God's care. And it's Matthew reading chapter 11, verse 28. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Those we hold most dear never truly leave us. They live on in kindness they showed, the comfort they shared, and the love they brought into our lives with loving memories. I don't remember the show on television that we watched, but at the end, he always said, and thanks for the memories. From Patricia, from the bottom of her heart, I know that she would be saying, thank you for the memories for all of us here. Thank you for the presentation.
All I wanted to do was I wanted to bring out Galatians, and it's the 5th chapter, 22nd through the 26th verse, and it says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against there is no law. Against such there is no law. And those who are Christ have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit." But at the end of this last verse, "Let us not become conceited, provoking one another, envying one another." And this, everything in there explains Patty, because she had all these virtues, and she shared them with probably everybody that's in this room today. And I mean, I got stories I could keep here for who knows how long, not if I fall asleep and everybody else. But even while I'm up here, I want to thank all of you for coming, because it's special. That's it.
Yeah, I'm Jimmy. I'm her nephew. I'm Ellie's. And I really want to say something about my Aunt Patty, because I didn't want this to happen and this day to go off without saying something. I didn't want to let the day go by and say that needs to be said. So Aunt Patty, she was a lot of things to everybody. She's a granddaughter, daughter, niece, cousin, sister, aunt, friend. She was a Holy Name graduate. Yeah, I was from Holy Name. It means a lot to people that went to Holy Name. She graduated there. A lot of my other aunts and uncles did. She's a world traveler, like everybody said. And you know, I was thinking about it with my brother Dan on the right here, and Aunt Patty was an ambassador for modern women throughout the world. You know, she went to 35 countries, and a lot of the countries probably women were a little bit oppressed, you know. And just thinking about it, it's like we never even thought of it that way. Like, she's a good example of other places on how to carry yourself and be strong. And everybody can shout out if there's something I'm missing, and everybody, I like that. She's a veterinarian, patron of the arts, historical restoration lady. That's I didn't know the official term. She's a historical restoration lady. That's what you're laughing about that. She was a loving dog owner, furniture reupholsterer. She helped us out one time. She was a tour guide here at the farm, a carpenter, a gardener. She was a maid in the mansion. She was a restaurant owner, a hotel owner, a winery owner. She was a full-time accountant. Aunt Patty was a construction worker and interior designer. She wore many hats, many hats. She's a landscaper, event hostess, a fundraiser, a chef for Arthur, and whoever else was visiting. She was a teacher and an arborist, conservationist. Aunt Patty was a receptionist here at the house. She was a secretary and a seamstress. I think you guys were involved in the alpaca wool thing. You're gonna make blankets and stuff. All the sisters are supposed to get together and shave alpacas and make blankets. I don't think it ever happened, did it? But everybody had good intentions. You know what I mean? It was a nice thing to work for. So I'm trying to light it up a little here. Aunt Patty, growing up poor in the family she grew up in the 60s, she was probably a car mechanic as well. You know, and her crappy car that she had. She was a humanitarian and a philanthropist. I'm sure there's so much more. Everybody, you know what I mean? You're thinking
A monkey owner.
What?
She was a monkey owner.
Monkey owner. Mortimer. She's Mortimer. Before my time. Another thing about Aunt Patty is I got a picture of me as a newborn. I'm like maybe about a week old. And my mom showed it to me. She's like, "Oh, this is a little picture." I was like, "Who is that?" It looked like Sharon Stone was holding it. She was a very beautiful woman, Arthur. Very beautiful woman. She was more to Aunt Patty than those things, okay? Aunt Patty, she was a fine music lover, as you can see everybody here. You know, she's involved. And she tried to enrich the lives of other people with culture and teaching things. Like, dude, you're sitting here trying to teach us about some 16th century, you know what I mean? Instead of just reading the thing, you're telling us, like, where it really came from, you know? She's just like that. She wanted to teach people all the time. She was a dog lover, okay? And she loved her animals, Lily, Gus, Coon, Toto, and Trump, okay? The cows, she had cows for everybody who doesn't know. She had, David had cows, and Arthur had cows, and then they just decided they were gonna take one of David's cows and made it with one of Arthur's cows. And it was Nancy and George, and they became pets. She had bulls and cows that weren't allowed to be slaughtered. And it's probably like third generation Nancy's and George's floating around out there right now because she wouldn't let them. They were pets. I got cows. You know, that's what we do on the farm. We have pet cows. So the stories are like this, you know, Grandma and Grandpa Bishop. I never got to meet Grandma. She died right before I was born. They had a beautiful, healthy baby girl. They named her Patricia. They loved her. Patricia Bishop. I don't know, like you guys have seen a little bit. I don't know, ever tell anybody hear about the story where Aunt Penny like freaked out and she yelled at that one guy? It never happened. She never did anything like that. She was a kindest soul. Nobody's got any stories of anything like that. It's amazing. You know what I mean? And that's it. You drop the mic. She never yelled at anybody else. You know, it really, truly is amazing. I'm gonna try to, go a little quicker. I'm almost done. She never lost her cool. She treated everybody with respect. Okay. She was always there to talk to people and lend advice to them. Listen to their problems. Try to decipher what needed to be done and move forward. Give them good advice, if not just to listen. Sometimes she'd tell you to buck up in the nicest possible way. Give it to your heart, but she had a smile on her face. And Grandpa Bishop, when his long hard life was coming closer, and Grandpa Bishop was headed back to Rose, his wife, and to meet his maker, the last couple of years, he had no more worries. Grandpa Bishop, for the first time in his life, he didn't have to worry about anything except just living. And he enjoyed his life here on the farm. He was being doted on and taken care of, and I'm sure that he said, "Thank you, Pat." Okay, thank you, Patty. One Christmas, the aunts and nieces and nephews, we all went to Bradnall, and it was told to us by Arthur and Aunt Patty that anybody, and there was nieces and nephews, which is a lot of them, anybody who was nieces and nephews that wanted to go to college, don't worry about it. If you can't afford it, we will cover your college for you. Unfortunately, I didn't take them up on that, and I look back as a mistake. But the fact that somebody would think and do that for me is absolutely amazing. And I'm sure the rest of my cousins feel the same way. That's just ridiculously nice and caring. Because she was trying to teach us how to fish. She's trying to teach us how to take care of ourselves and give us the tools to do the things that we need to be successful in life, like she was. And things like that just don't happen in this world. On the farm here. She had so many near-death experiences on the farm. It's so crazy and unbelievable. Me and my brother Danny, on the way up here, we were laughing about it. And we said, Danny's like, you know what? She just kept getting back in the vehicles with that old man. She kept getting back in vehicles with that old man. Evil. So I guess actually she was really a stunt woman as well. And a co-pilot. But this is the ladies I really know of a great love story. And it's a beautiful, strong tale of trust and companionship. An unbreakable team of two great souls. Carving their names in the tree of life, like teenagers. It was later in life and you guys were like teenagers. Your love for each other. Everybody, Arthur, knows about your successes. Your successes and your achievements are absolutely outstanding. And to put everything into perspective about Aunt Patty, if you know about Arthur's achievements and Arthur's successes, Arthur, your greatest achievement was getting her to fall in love with you. And it really was. It was. You were her dear Art, you know, and she was dear. Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. And the way that you guys, you taught everybody how to love, how to be normal, how to be loving, how to be caring, how to be compassionate to people. And I learned so much just by being around you. And this is about me now in my family. In my family, times really got tough, like in the 90s. I was like in the 3rd, 4th grade. My mom had 5 kids, just coming through a bad divorce. My mother, Mom, you were always overwhelmed, and life became too much for you. It was too much for all of us at that time. Life was tough, and we were struggling to make ends meet. My mom was struggling to keep kids in line. 5 kids, we were all terrible monsters. Self-admittedly, I was the worst. I was a horrible child. And you were there. So were you. And the thing of it is my mom, I know, she didn't say it, but she felt alone. And looking back, I wish I was a better kid. So I start to understand now. She's working multiple jobs. We were always in trouble at school. We're really more than my mother could handle, you know, being a single mother, financially, mentally, emotionally, probably spiritually. And we needed a miracle in our family. You know, things were looking not good, and things were really looking really bleak as far as our family sticking together, being strong and happy family. We were right up to the edge a couple different times, edge of the cliff, and it didn't fall over. My mom was getting routine multiple calls a day. The telephone would ring. You know, times were tough. The telephone would ring, and she'd go answer the call. And after talking on the phone for a while, her nerves were settled, and she'd come back, and we could like regroup and, you know, make dinner, and the anxiety in the house was a lot lowered, and we all had a direction. We were recentered, and as kids, we all learned to love these phone calls. You know, we could pretty much expect that once or twice a day that we get a phone call, and we were hoping the phone rang, because that's when they had regular telephones on the walls. We hoped that when the phone rang that it was a phone call from my mom, because we know that things would be a little bit better. You know, then my mom would feel better after she talked on the phone. And us gory kids, our last name was Gory, we were never part of any of those conversations. But my mother was getting phone calls from her big sister Patty. She'd come on the weekends sometimes, and she'd show Mom how to reupholster our kitchen chairs when we didn't have any money. The chairs were falling apart. So that's when she was a reupholsterer for the first time that I know of. And she would come on her weekends, her busy life, and take the time to show her younger sister how to sand chairs down and how to sand, you know, dressers down and repaint them and varnish them and things like that. And she was showing my mom how to do these things and being a positive role model and being, you know, uplifting. We put new screens on the windows. And what she basically was, she was taking her time to help and teach my mom. And when they spent the time together, they were able to talk about life. And my mom was able to absorb and mimic some of these things, the tendencies that everybody spoke so. What do? You know, come on over for dinner. And it was always the same. She would speak lovingly to me. And at one time I needed a light at the end of the tunnel, and my mom was there for me when nobody else was. My mom was there. And she was kind, loving, forgiving, gentle, loyal, compassionate. Everything I needed to feel in order to want to change and to be a better person, to be a responsible man. I believe the best parts of my mother were learned and absorbed from the compassionate soul of my Patty. So like a mother passes her wisdom to her daughters and sons, God willing, that angelic spirit of Aunt Patty will flow through our family for generations to come. That is her greatest accomplishment, is that she will be retold over and over and over again. The learned actions of her positive way she lived, they get rubbed off on one person, you know, it made a bad guy into not so bad of a guy. You know what I mean? Because you felt bad about it. The good that she put into the world will trickle down. and hopefully to our family that happens. And the morning that everybody found out what was going on or whatever, we've been at the hospital. And that morning, after the night at the hospital, it was a long night, my mom stayed there. And I was so concerned about her, and Aunt Patty and Arthur and everybody. But I was really terrified for my mother, for a certain reason. I called my mom early in the morning and she was crying and she said, "Jimmy, she's gone." She was the nicest person I have ever known. And we both just cried. And I said, "I know, Mom, she's the nicest person I ever met." My Aunt Betty's gonna be missed. She was loved. I just wanted to speak plainly about her and let everybody know that although, you say, well, she was nice to everybody, I'm the proof. I was out in the field doing experiments. I was being the worst I could be, and she was always nice to me, So this isn't lip service. She is an angel. And I wanted to thank her for showing me how to live. And I also wanted to just let all the rest of you guys know. And I love you too. And I'm sure that Aunt Patty wants everybody here to love each other and treat each other with respect and dignity, the way that she treated everybody with respect and dignity.
Amen.
Amen.
I have a quick thought. I moved here 9 years ago and got to know Art and Patty through art. And I came probably through an art event 10 years ago, and at the estate. And I was very struck by how kind, and open, and generous, and welcoming both Art and Patty were when we came to that event. My wife and I, we lived in Pittsburgh, and I've handled litigation all over the country. I've dealt with a lot of very wealthy lawyers, of which I was not one. And we've dealt with a lot of people in Pittsburgh with major charities and foundations. And there are people out there that are generous and that care about their communities and plow a fair amount of their wealth into making something great for the people around them. But those people are not necessarily always the most open and kind, personally generous and welcoming on a one-to-one level. And when I came to the very first event, it struck me that Art and Patty were very welcoming and gracious and kind and open to anyone and everyone that came to their home. And this past week, as all of the emotions have washed over me, I read the obituary and I felt this is eloquent. This is everything I could possibly say. So I won't say any of it because it's stated so well. But I came back to something that I think I heard when I was a small child, either at my father's, grandfather's, grandparents' farm, tobacco farm in Virginia, or on the eastern shore of Maryland. My granddad and grandma, he was a waterman. And people who live in rural areas that haven't traveled a lot, that don't have a lot of education, they're not worldly in any way, they have an ultimate compliment for the special people in their community. And that kept washing up. And it's like the ultimate compliment for somebody like Patty. And that is, she was good people. And that means a lot. And I think that really sums it up in 2 words. She was good people. And everybody that spent time with her and came in her orbit for a significant period of time, that's the only conclusion you can come up with. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sally Baird, and I became friends with Patty. We moved here in 2004, and in 2006, I heard that they were building a hotel, so I went down there and took pictures and all that, and this couple was standing there. I said, "Are you Mrs. Steffee?" And she goes, "Yes." And I said, "Is that Dr. Steffee?" She said, "Yes." So that was my first time meeting them. But I was really touched just by the friendship of both of them. And so then as time went on, we became active in ARCA and did that for quite a few years with them, with Patty. I worked with Patty with membership and so forth. And I also helped her on about 6 tours in this beautiful mansion. And that was fun. Patty and I became really like sisters. I told her she was always the sister I didn't have. So we had a lot of fun times together. She was very, very special. I remember we came up one day and visited, and she took me, one evening, she took me in the golf cart out to her sheep. And it was so awesome to watch her. She had names for them, and they knew who she was. It was just an awesome experience. I had so many awesome experiences with her. She and I cleaned Lincoln Hall many times for concerts, many times together. And it even got to the point where she and I were talking about hair and haircuts, and she let me trim her hair. And I said, well, Patty, I saw the picture of you when you were younger, and I just thought, do you want me to trim your hair? Because I had trimmed different people's hair. And she said, sure. Well, I trimmed it. Well, it wasn't long where she decided she couldn't pull it up like she wanted, so we didn't do that again. Patty she was a very kind, loving, classy, elegant lady. She never complained. She was always positive. Let's just say she was an angel. And as I think of her and remember her, I will never forget her and her sweet personality. In fact, I feel her spirit around me all the time. And, I'd just like to finish my tribute to Patty with a scripture that kept coming to my mind as I thought of her. And I could not remember where this scripture was that I thought of her, but I looked and we found it. And it's from the book of Matthew. His Lord said unto him, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. I know Patty's at peace, and she's an angel in heaven, and thanks, Patty, for all the beautiful memories. I was truly blessed by Patty's friendship. Thank you.
Privilege of working closely with Patty for quite a few years in business affairs in Foxburg. There are 3 kinds of leaders: autocratic leaders, which are dictators, they manage from the top up; laissez-faire leaders, which have chaos all around them; and then there are servant leaders, where they flip the pyramid and they serve from the bottom up. We've lost a servant leader. She was wonderful. Patty loved all life. How many of you remember when this was a place for baby lambs that their moms gave up? Remember she would bring them in here and take care of them. She loved all life. How many of you have been bitten by her dogs? Now, how many of you, after you were bit by Cody or Toto, Patty would reprimand the dog, and then she'd look at it and she'd say, Mike, he didn't mean that. So I suspect we all have shared these types of experiences with her. And it was a wonderful privilege to know her.
I'll kick off too, but not as long as Jimmy. Okay. Aunt Patty was a great soul, I just was thinking the trust that she had in a lot of us was amazing. Like, I just remember the one time when me and Jimmy were kids, she invited us up here to drive around some of these people on a tour. And I looked at Jimmy, I'm like, are you nuts? Like, seriously? So we came up here and he gave us full rights to these golf carts, and we were transporting people on the rides of their lives up and down the hills, to the parking lots and everything like that. And I remember at the end of the whole thing, well, there was a little bit of wine involved. There was definitely a little wine involved in this. And
we were making up fake facts about the farm.
Definitely. I can't remember where Alexander Hamilton lived here, but he lived somewhere on this property. But I just remember how trusting she was to do that and how generous she was with all of us. And I think the words that came from Grandma, give me a second, because I remember it. They made this big family to stick together, to be something. Arthur has that book, and I need the title because I'm gonna read that shit. I'm sorry. But they have success. And Aunt Patty knew it, and Grandma knew it, and Grandpa knew it. Our family needs to stick up for each other. We need to be there for each other. We're all older now. We're not children. There should be no hate in this room amongst any of us. Anybody. We're all good souls. We're all good people. Stick up for your cousin. Shake that dude's hand. I don't care who you are. Come see me. You're going to get a hug, a hi, and I'll see you later. Love you, bro. That's what you get from every last one of you guys. And everybody should turn around and do the same thing to the person next to them. I love you all. Thank you, Aunt Patty, for being a great example to what you should be in life. Not a taker, a giver, a giver, a giver, a giver. Amen.
Thank you. Amen.
I'm Eileen, I'm one of Patty's sisters, and a lot of you know I stayed up here and I lived up here with Patty. She gave me a lot of responsibilities that nobody else would give me, and one of them was to manage the hotel. And she trusted me, and she gave me that chance. I didn't go to college for any of that or anything, but she gave me that chance, and she wanted me to make something out of myself. And first of all, she was like my friend. She was my friend, then she was like a mother, and then she was my sister. And she's like that with anybody she meets. She will take care of anybody before herself. And if it's not proof, I mean, she would be here right now. Because Patty should have been seeing someone, and she was so worried about everyone else, didn't have time to think about herself. And all I could say is, yesterday, we saw the biggest rainbow, and I told Arthur that was Patricia. And she's smiling down on us and saying she made it to heaven, everything's okay. So.
We got pictures of it.
Right. And Kathy Soroka did a wonderful obituary, and everyone keeps complimenting on that. So thank you, Kathy. I'm sorry. And I'm shaking because I'm nervous. I'm not a speaker. But we're going to miss you, Patty. We all love you. And Arthur. And we're there for you, Arthur, if you need anything. Thank you.
I've never seen life. And I think about, Dennis and I would talk about going on vacation, and I said, where do you want to go? And he'd go, the only vacation you could ever plan is Foxborough. And I'd be like, okay, but how about a couple of days? I'm a city girl, and if there's not a mall or outlets or stores close by, it's like, what are we going to do? And as soon as we got to Foxborough, I'd walk in the door, and it would be Pat. She'd go, hi, Sal, with a big smile, give me a big hug. And then I'd go and say hello to Arthur, and he'd always say, are you getting shorter? Arthur would always have things for Dennis to do, and I'd be like, well, what am I going to do? And I'll tell you, even if Dad and I just sat around all day, we just had wonderful conversation, just enjoyed time with her. And I wish I could have spent even more time with her.
That's right.
And I just want Arthur to know we love him as much as we do Pat. And another thing I want to say too, when we would leave Foxborough after a couple of days, I would say to Dennis, I'd say,
they never get upset with each other. They're just such a peaceful, wonderful couple, and I think myself, I learned a lot that I should be a little more like Kathy, be more soft-spoken, because I think Dennis speaks like Kat, and I do not, but I learned a lot just because of their wonderful mannerisms. We love both of them.
I'm Curtis. I'm Brother Beth's neighbor, my wife. We've been friends with them for over 10 years. They say you can't take anything with you when you're gone. I just learned that is not entirely true. When Patricia left us, she took part of our homes with her. But I think this is really how much we all loved her. She was with us. If there are to be any more saints canonized, I think she should be on this. How she loved all unconditionally, including her little Toto with the Napoleon complex. She had to be a saint. She didn't judge, she just accepted you who you were. And she did so with amazing grace. Much of what I know and see here in Foxford is a result of the efforts that Arthur and Patty have put forth. And I see Patty in all the details on this. If I could be half the person she was and lived a good life. She was so quiet, unassuming, humble, but committed with the greatest tenacity, and yet always cheerful, as well as being the eternal caregiver and bestowing many acts of kindness. When my wife was having a medical crisis that lasted seemed like eternity, that no one else could help with, even the medical professionals, Patty, long and thoroughly, would show up at the door like guardian angels and offer aid, comfort, and care. They took the time out of their busy lives to continue to care for those who weren't in family. But then again, it has part of the family. And with so many people. I believe we are rewarded for good deeds while on this earth, and I'm certainly sure Patricia is a special patient because of that. But I think she loved the most important gift we have. It's the example of love each other, unconditionally. Right here, friends, family. She did do something, you know. That's the way.
Met these beautiful people when our first of 3 children were born, and we came here to play our first concert at Lincoln Hall. And I think I will share it with you. One of the first questions I asked about my parents. And living in this country for 20-some years now, after running away from my country and from my parents, and seeing my mother for the last maybe 5 times in those almost 27 years, and she just asked that. She sensed people. She sensed what in their hearts, and she knew that exactly those qualities of human being are so rare that it happens on the first meeting. And when I walked in here today, and I saw this picture, and I said, just like she's hugging you here, she hugged the whole world. Mm-hmm. Every person that walked into your environment, into your limited space, that's what she did. And I felt that motherly love belonged, that motherly love is so distant. I thank God for the chance to be part of it.
Thought I would give the perspective of one of the younger people. From about the time in a young man's life, a young girl's life even, when you start to establish that memory, as far as you get with dad. And Patty and Uncle Art, they were one of the first. One was, one of the first memories that I can look back on, one of the very first things that ever comes to mind, the moment your brain opens up and says, hey, this is something worth keeping. You know, Aunt Patty was like, almost like a grandmother to me. She was like a distant mother, even. She was a teacher. She was a friend. My Aunt Pat she had my summer home. I loved coming here every summer. She was my summer. It was blue skies. She was my summer. Every year, I look forward to being here for even a week in the summertime. Just to see her and my Uncle Art, the most wonderful people I've ever met. The sweetest, most calm, most giving, most caring, most splendid people I've ever met. I just am grateful to have known her for even as little of the time as I have. You all have known her for so much longer, for a lifetime, and she made such an impact on you, and I can only imagine. She was a ray of sunshine. She was a beacon. Every time you came to the farm, you had to see Aunt Pat. She was on the list of things you need to see. She was one of those 7 wonders. She was something. She was beautiful. She was kind. All the hugs and kisses will be remembered. Her sweet angelic voice, her smile, her laugh, all of it. I just wish, she had a little more time for us younger ones. But I thank her, and I thank my Uncle Art for the time we had with her, the time all together. I just wanted to say that because as younger people, somebody's got to say something. So I'll leave it at that. I love you all, and she does too.
I'm gonna end it with a poem here, so I gotta fire up my phone, I got it turned off, and I didn't write it down. But all week long I've been hearing you gotta tell everybody's gonna say something about Patty, and I thought about a story I could say about her, and I really didn't know what I was gonna say, and I thought of one. I didn't run it past Eileen because I know she got mad at me. But a couple of years ago, there was a concert up here, and it was up at the barn. And I was drinking gin and tonic. I got a little bit looped that day. And the next day, I heard from 3 of the Bishop girls. And the first one was Eileen, and she was pretty upset with me. She basically told me that I was acting like a major league a-hole. And she's probably right. I don't remember a lot of it. I'm sure she was right. And the second one I heard from, sister, was Marie. And Marie told me, you had a blackout. And just in case I didn't understand what she was telling me, she said, you had a blackout. You had a blackout. You had a blackout. And she probably told me this 10 or 12 times. I don't remember how many, but I remember thinking, good God, Marie, would you please shut the hell up? Hell wasn't exactly the 4-letter word I was looking up, but you know what it was. And then there's one more Bishop sister I had to hear from that day, and that was Patty. And I was standing here in the kitchen, and she walked up to me, and she had a smile on her face. And she says, you told me you love me. I said, I do love you. I love Patty. We all love her. And that's what she loved all of us. And that's one thing I remember about Patty. So I'm gonna end this with a short poem. It's by a guy named Judah Halevi. Levi, he was a Hebrew physician, philosopher, which is what I kind of think of you being. And it's called, "'Tis a Fearful Thing." It goes, "'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be and oh, to lose. The thing for fools this, because your life has lived in me, your laugh was uplifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. It's a fearful thing to love, a holy thing to love, what death has touched."
You dwell in the shelter of the Lord, who abide in his shadow for life. Say to the Lord, my refuge, my rock, in whom I trust, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. The sparrow, the fowler will never capture you, and famine will bring you no fear. Under his wings your refuge, his faithfulness your shield, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. You need not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day. Though thousands fall about you, near you shall not come, and he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of dawn, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. For to his angels he's given a command to guard you in all of your ways. Upon their hands they will bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. And he will raise you up on eagle's wings, bear you on the breath of God, make you to shine like the sun, and hold you in the palm of his hand. And hold you in palm of his hand.
when I was asked to do a benediction this afternoon, I thought there's so many times in this. And I was reading an article in which I read, when someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes the treasure. Treasure we can keep in our heart. And I thought that's probably because the person was a treasure. Patricia will always be a treasure for all of us. A blessing for us. I had an experience once that I would like to share with you because it seems to be the point of speaking. I once took a year's leave and went up to Buffalo to study psychology. In our studies many years before ordination, we got some, but not near enough for me anyway. So I went to the study field, and the way it was done was you were psychoanalyzed by a doctor of psychology. And one of the tools that they used was, well, there were two that I remember particularly. One was finger painting, because it just kind of flows, it's like your subconscious kind of rises into the painting. And then the other was that take a tablet and writing instrument and just write what comes into your mind. Well, one day I was doing that, and I started, as I always did, in a river. The water, of course, is life. And I grew up in South Erie, where we had no creeks, swimming holes, maybe 5 feet deep in the very center, and about 5 feet across. So I'm not a long distance swimmer, like those who live closer to the peninsula. Well, anyway, I started swimming this river, and swimming, and finally it seemed to come to a lake. Well, on the other side of the lake, it became the river again. And I went on, and finally came to a lake that ended. And across the lake was this huge hill. I walked across up the hill, and there was this absolutely magnificent valley. Just phenomenal. And so I started to walk down into the valley, and I noticed that there was this rock mountain on the other side. And it was huge, snow top, but no openings, no gates, no doors, no caves. And then as I continued across, I noticed that there was a small pond in front of the mountain. And it was frozen. People were ice skating on it. And around the pond, there were bushes of flowers, purple flowers, which was always my mother's favorite color. And as I walked across the pond, I looked up and my mother was standing in front of the mountain with her hand out to me. She said nothing. I took her hand, and somehow we passed into the mountain. And there was my dad in there, who was deceased, and many people that I tried to be helpful to. from the time that they left here and went on forward. And so I apologized to them for being so inept in my efforts. And they said, oh, that's all right. No one comes here alone. Someone always goes out. Will come to us all if we open our hearts, as she has done. And I think it will bring you peace and joy. As she has. God bless you.